Welcome to a new episode of Delphine Circle, where we uncover the mind, body, and spirit of success. Subscribe now for free to receive updates on the latest interviews. Then, sit back, relax, and tune in. Hi, on today's Mind, Body, and Spirit episode, we're all about the topic of meditation. And I am thrilled to be here with my good friend, Tonyah Dee, master meditation teacher, life coach, and registered dietitian.
Thank you, Delphine.
So happy to have you here.
So happy to be here.
We are going to do a deep dive today, but I've got to tell the story of how we met because I love to tell this story. We were on a flight. We think it's from Uruguay. It was an 8-hour flight. I was returning from Rio. You were returning from a yoga retreat, Costa Rica. And we sat down and I think we talked the full 8 hours of the flight. So 8 years later, we're still great friends and we get to talk about meditation together.
Still talking,
yes. So this is going to be, I've been waiting to do the show for a long time because I'm very, very outspoken about how much I love meditation and what a huge impact it made on my life. But before we get started, I just want to, meditation is now called the fastest growing health trend, not only in the United States, but worldwide. Why do you think it's become so popular?
Well, because there's so many benefits to meditation, and it's not just physical. There's a lot of physical benefits to your body. It's psychological. So there's a lot of psychological benefits. And then it's also spiritual. So it covers the three aspects of our human nature, which I talk about a lot: body, soul, and spirit. So meditation's really covering all of these areas. And just for a lot of people, when you meditate, you realize there's a whole different place that you can access. And it's powerful. It's really powerful. So it's really tapping into that higher power.
Yes.
And we're needing that in this day and age, with all the stress and all of the changes going on. We need to be able to come from that place of power.
Yes. I love it. I went on to the Mayo Clinic website because I wanted to make sure I had a full understanding of what all of the benefits that were being listed. And I was like surprised because we know about relaxation. We know about anxiety relief. Those are the ones we kind of hear about the most. But it is gaining new perspective on situations, building skills to prevent stress, improving attention and concentration, increasing self-awareness, focusing on the present, which is big for me, reducing negative emotions, increasing imagination and creativity, lowering resting heart rate, lowering resting blood pressure, and probably one of the biggest ones, improving sleep quality. I mean, so much is going on here. We talked about it getting ready for this, and you really shared with me your perspective or your purpose for why meditation is important. And you really tied it in with the whole body, soul, and spirit, which is a cool way to present it. Please share with us a little bit about that description.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, a lot of people get into meditation for different reasons. You may have a health problem. I personally had an anxiety disorder. I had gone through a divorce. I was just really going to go crazy, basically. And I read a lot of books about anxiety, and they all said I should learn how to meditate. And I was like,
what the heck's that?
this was a long time ago. So meditation wasn't that popular. And it was like, so how do you start that? And that for sure was a calling for me because I'm very holistic. I'm a registered dietitian, and I wasn't going to take just prescription drugs. So it sent me on this whole path. Really, when you start meditation into a path, you're going to end up in the East. Right? Because that's where it originated from. But I went into the East. I read all their scriptural texts. I took 8 years of meditation training to where I got to the master level. And it eventually circled back for me into my Christian roots, into the Bible. And what I found is the Bible explains our human nature a lot better than I could find in any book I had ever read. And I read a lot of books.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Bible, it says that every human has a body. We can feel that. We have a soul. Every human has a unique soul. Your soul is different from my soul. It's different from everyone's soul. It's who we are. And every person has a spirit. So this is what it says in the Bible. We're body, soul, and spirit. So as I was meditating, what I found is I'd go into this space where you go interior. Meditation is shutting out the outside world.
Yes.
And you're going to go inside. And the first thing that would pop up was my soul. It was very obvious. It was my mind. Our soul is our mind, our emotions, and our will, our desires, our wishes. So it's what makes meditation so difficult sometimes is you go from the outside world and your attention's out here. And you take that attention inside and it can be chaotic. Like, what's going on here? My thoughts are going crazy.
You hear so many people say, I've tried meditating, but I just can't. I can't quiet my mind. And I said, yeah, I think you can. You probably can. You just haven't tried long enough. Is that your experience?
So this is such a good point because this is what'll happen. I could only meditate for 5 minutes when I started. So it is a practice. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes and the more rewards you get. But when you first start meditating, the whole thing about the mind, like, oh, you can make your mind disappear. That's never going to happen because our mind is for us. It's meant to work on our behalf. It's meant to analyze, solve problems, plan, remember, all of this stuff.
Direct. Yeah.
Direct. But what we learn to do, and this is what I was saying about the body, soul, spirit, is the spirit was given to us so that we could connect to God's spirit, okay, or the higher power, the universe, the source. I call it God. In the Bible, it talks about our human spirit connects to God's spirit, and this is the witness. This is a higher consciousness. This is the higher power. So when you're sitting and you're watching your mind and you're listening, the goal is to just witness it. And you hear this a lot in the Eastern meditation. It says, just watch your thoughts come and go. Well, this is the same thing. So we are watching our mind at work when we're meditating. Where are we doing that from? We're doing it from our spirit, from this higher place of consciousness. Like you brought in, one of the benefits was creativity and a bigger perspective. This is that bigger perspective is, oh, our mind's just working. Yeah. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. And after a while, when we meditate long enough, our mind does start to calm down. Or at least we show up in the morning and we say, what is my mind doing today? It might be thinking about a conflict from yesterday. It might be trying to plan a thing from the future. And you can kind of just get a feel for your truth for that day. So a lot about meditation, I think, is being able to sit in our truth, like who we are in the present moment.
Yes, you mentioned that, and it was such an aha moment for me because I think it's so true. It's like when you go in, you said you really get to know yourself. You really get to know what you want, what your true desires are, what you really don't like. And until you truly get to know yourself, how do you know how to direct your life, or how can you truly relate to one other person? So that really struck a chord with me because people always say, why is that even really important? I don't really need to, my life is great. Do I really need to? I'm like, but are you really truly understanding who you are?
And every single day. So like sometimes I go to meditate and I don't even realize I'm sad. And so I would have gone out into my day sad or angry, and it would have affected my perspective, my relationships. So when I sit down in the morning and I meditate, I'm I'm like, how's my mind today? Oh, I'm still ruminating about this problem. This must be important to me. I better really take a look at that today. Oh, I'm feeling angry. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was feeling angry. And you can sit, and this is again where you bring in spirit, like God, spirit's unconditional love. It says God is love. So no matter what feeling you find in the morning, you might find that you're depressed, anxious, sad, angry, all sorts of feelings. The idea is to accept it and from this higher place, bring in compassion and love. And so right there in the morning, you're kind of like, I've resolved that emotion. And now science has shown that emotions are stored in our body. And really all it takes is acknowledging the emotion and it's released. So I get to release that first thing in the morning and go out into my day clear.
Yeah. I always end my meditation with raising my frequency. I get excited. I think about all the beautiful things about the day. I set my intention for how I want the day to go. And then it makes me feel like I come out of my meditation so happy and elevated and, joyful. So that really helps me.
Yes, that is a lot of the point is you're going to go into meditation. You're going to find your truth for the day. What might not be working for you? What is working for you in your life? Meditation is kind of exploring your life experiences, how you're reacting to life. And if you can do it every day, and it doesn't have to be in the morning, I just encourage everybody to do it in the morning, at least try. That's traditionally what has been happening in the East forever. Because when you get up in the morning, the energy is different from the day and your mind hasn't started working yet.
Yes.
So
how long should somebody meditate?
As long as they can. Like I said, I could only meditate for probably less than 5 minutes when I first started. I was so full of anxiety that I couldn't sit there. I had to go. I had to go solve those problems, right? So ideally, they say 20 minutes. And in the meditation that I teach, and some people really practice this around the world, is I do devotional chant before I meditate. And chanting is scientifically shown to bring in, like, all your cells start harmonizing and vibrating at a certain level, and it opens your heart and it releases a relaxation response throughout your whole body. So if you can start with chanting, then your body gets settled down. Then when you move into meditation, it's easier to sit and go inside.
Well, and isn't that the same philosophy behind mantras? Is that if you were to say the same word, it helps you to focus, but also the resonant sound of the mantra is supposed to be more peaceful?
Exactly. It's very similar to that where you're meditating on one word, and you can choose any word you want. I am love, and you just sit there and say, I'm love, I'm love, I'm love. Well, it gives your mind something to do, for one thing, and our mind likes to work. So a chant does the same thing. It'll be a song that's short, repetitive phrases, but there's also the sound current that runs through your body, and sound creates a physical reaction. So the sound current running through your body really has this effect on harmonizing and balancing your body. So there are tricks to sitting longer in meditation.
Oh, do tell. Because everybody says that's one of the hardest parts, right? To sit there for some period of time.
So first of all, you want to be comfortable.
Okay.
Like, I could not sit like this when I first started meditating. My hips were tight, and it took me maybe a year and a half before I could sit like this.
Really?
It really did. And so I had to sit on a higher cushion and then pillows under my knees. But you do want to have your back straight.
Okay.
So that's really important. You don't want to meditate in bed, or you don't want to be too comfortable, because meditation is relaxed as you can possibly be in your body. Like, don't hold your stomach in, let it go, put your shoulders back, relaxed in your body, but alert. So however you can be with your body, you might have to sit in a chair, on a couch, your back up against something, but you want your back straight because this is where our nervous system runs up and down our back. So meditation also has to do with a breath pattern, like really breathing deep and slow. That's another tip. You want to be comfortable and you want to have a good breath pattern. In 5 and out 5 through your nose. They say that that releases another relaxation response in your body, and this helps your nervous system to calm down.
And even just focusing on the breath can be what people need to be able to keep themselves centered, right? And present.
So breath, again, you can take it from the Eastern. There's a lot of Eastern meditations that just are breathing meditations. That's it. You're focused on breath. If you take it into the Western, the Christian side of things, breath is spirit. So you're breathing in, this breath is spirit, the spirit of life. You're breathing in and out new life. It's very, very powerful. Our breath pattern either creates anxiety in our body or creates calm. When you do short, rapid breathing or holding your breath, that releases all the stress hormones.
Oh, wow.
So one of the things that helped me the most in my life was learning how to breathe relaxed everywhere I go. And I've trained myself to do that in meditation. So whenever I feel that anxiety coming up, I go back into a deep, slow breath wherever I am. And all of a sudden, I feel calmer. You even feel like, okay, I have more power, I have more spirit, I have more wisdom, creativity. I can be present. So the breath is really important.
Yes. What about your hands? You know, you hear you should be like this or like this. Is it important how you hold your hands during meditation?
Now, I really don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't. The yogis say like this posture right here, it keeps your energy circulating. But I have found I kind of just like my hands in my laps where my arms can be really relaxed. So I'm not having to think about my hands or my arms. This posture right here can be very stabilizing. So triangles in your body are very stabilizing. But it's a little rigid. So I like to, you want to be able to, meditation is training us to relax. Everywhere we go, we're relaxed, we're breathing deep. So let's say you and I have a conflict or you're at a meeting and you're with your boss and your meditation training has trained you to not react, to maintain your composure, to breathe slow so that you can listen and focus, to be able to watch your thoughts so you don't interrupt him, to be able to watch your emotions so you're not getting like this as he's talking or, you know, and to maintain your desires. Like, I want a cup of coffee. I want to leave this meeting. So
Teaches you control.
Self-control.
Yes.
And how important is self-control? Like, I think that's one of the main benefits of meditation is we learn how to control ourself, and self is the soul. Our soul is synonymous with the word self.
Oh, okay.
Self-control, self-love. We're loving our soul. So self-discipline, we're disciplining our soul, which is like a little kid. Like, oh, I have thoughts, I have emotions, and I have desires. And sometimes we have to control that little kid, our soul, from this parent who's our spirit, who's a higher part of us. So meditation is training you how to do all of these things.
So what benefits did you find after you got started with this meditation ritual? And obviously you went into it for some really important reasons. What were some of the benefits you got out of it?
Well, the main benefit for sure is I just don't have any anxiety at all, very much. anymore, ever. And people look at me and go like, I can't even believe you ever had anxiety.
You
But I
do.
did.
You are a very calm. Your energy is very calming.
I had a lot of anxiety. So I have more peace. That's a big benefit. I have more self-control. I have more creativity. There is a flow that you tap into. And let's just say creativity comes from our will, like my desires. I want this. I don't want that. Our will, our free will is like, I want it, I don't want it. It's attracted to things and it's repelled by things. So when you can tap into your will and explore, like, what do you want other than a cup of coffee? Because it'll say that too. I want a cup of coffee right now.
I want to get up.
I want to get up. This is uncomfortable. And you have to just listen to that part of your soul. I want to get up. This is uncomfortable. Why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. So again, you're controlling yourself and you're listening to that part of you. And then after a while, you can go deeper. So it's called surrendering into God's will. So you get into like, oh, you start to hear deeper purposes, bigger dreams. And that I really feel ends up being this creative flow. If you hear something from there, it might be a big challenge for you. And you're like, I can't do that. But it came from this place of, I feel like it's God's will. And when you say yes to those things, there's this grace that steps in and helps you. There's a creative flow. So you can really tap into this creative flow.
I feel that. I mean, that's how I knew that I was finally meditating correctly, is because I would get into a deep state of meditation and I actually did feel like I was kind of elevated to another dimension, another level. And in that dimension, it felt very, very peaceful. I felt very relaxed and I felt like information was coming to me. Like I was getting downloads of information like, oh, okay, let me think about that later. But, people sometimes believe that the idea is that you cannot have one thought go through your head. And that's not really what my experience is. And I don't know that that's even possible, but it's a matter of really just confining and focusing, so if it's just on your breathing, if it's just on the word that you're saying. And sometimes for me, I really focus on that connection and just feeling like I'm one with the universe and I'm one with a higher power and I'm connected and part of that power. And I think that helps to make me feel uplifted and makes me feel better about my day and better about my life and a more peaceful person.
It's actually what you're describing is the science has been able to show that when you merge your mind, your thoughts, I think it's really our soul. When you merge your mind with your heart, then you have this, it's called coherence. And it actually creates a harmony throughout your whole body. And when your heart and your mind is separated and they're working kind of separate, you can see how it'd be kind of this disconnection and it doesn't feel right. So it kind of felt like when you're explaining what is happening in you, that you're reaching this place and you feel like it's your heart's connected to this higher power. To circle back a little bit about what's the purpose of meditation is for us, it's going to make us a better person. Meditation makes people have a feeling of well-being, and it can help them have self-control and self-love, and that ends up being more like ability to love others. And then we can get out there and help humanity. So I think in the long run, meditation makes us better people. So we're not so self-absorbed.
Yes.
We can control ourselves and we can get out there and help the planet and help other people.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love how you've tied this to Christianity, because there are some Christians that think that meditation is not part of Christianity or maybe be separate from Christianity. Do you have any of your Christian friends question you about that?
Absolutely. I actually lost some friends. Even when I started to just take it was a yoga meditation training. And, people just are afraid of the unknown, of things they don't know, or leaving their tribe and trying something new. And, these are the challenges that might get placed in your heart while you meditate. It was placed in mine. I heard, well, this is what one of your purposes is, to get out there and teach a Christ-centered meditation and prayer practice using original devotional chant music that I'm going to make. And I was like,
I don't know if I like this homework assignment.
Yes, exactly. But I heard the voice over and over and over. And after a while, that's another benefit, I believe, of meditation is you hear the voice of wisdom. You hear this, and it's promised in the Bible that God will help you and lead you all the days of your life, lead you into greener pastures and better things for your life. And when I heard this voice saying, you're going to make music, I'm not a musician, and you're going to teach a Christ-centered meditation practice, I'm like, no.
Thanks.
And we'll do that a lot. We'll resist these higher callings. And I finally said, I was hearing the voice over and over and over. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And sure enough, right afterwards, these songs came pouring out of me, would wake me up in the morning. Then I met a musician, then somebody with a studio, and here's God's grace. Bing, 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 bing. And here I am now being called to take meditation into churches and yoga studios. So it's very interesting. I've been called to kind of bridge the gap between the Eastern and the Western. And we need that.
We are one.
We are one. We need that. So, you might hear a real big challenge, and it's okay, because now you have all of that power, and you have this source working on your behalf. And all you have to do is say, okay, and things happen.
And I know you've also been moved to write a book. You've got a workbook coming out, I think, next month or very soon, maybe by the time this is aired. Tell us about the workbook that you wrote about meditation.
It's an 8-step practice that leads us through our body, our breath, our voice, our spirit, our heart, our soul, and then we'll end in prayer, which is like what you're saying, your higher intentions for the day, what you need, what you're struggling with, what you see happening. So my workbook will come out. It's called How to Meditate Like Jesus in June.
Yay!
Yes.
So excited about that.
And then if you want the deeper dive after the workbook, then you can order my other book, which will be done next year.
So there's been so many new innovations that have come on the market. I just purchased the Brain Tap. I had Dr. Patrick Porter on my show, and this is a meditation headset that you can use. There's so many new things coming out. Is there anything that you've adopted that's really helped you with your meditation?
I would say, because I've learned how to sit, like I do think ultimately you want to be able to sit here, like here we are outside at the beach, in the mountains. So you don't want to have technology. But I would say they've come out with some really interesting meditation cushions that right away feel very, very comfortable. So it keeps your back straight, keeps your legs propped up.
Yes.
And I do like guided meditations, and I do make guided meditations as well, because it's important when you're beginning to know what you're supposed to expect is going to happen next, or just something that gets you to sit there for 5 minutes. Just hold your body still for 5 minutes.
Yes.
So these things that, binaural beats that you can put on that kind of have a relaxing, put your brain waves into a different state, they're all helpful. But ultimately, I do think it's a real benefit to be able to just be by yourself, sitting, and just turning inwards and using your own power to overcome your own struggles and our own agonies. That's what we're doing in meditation sometimes, because we all will struggle all the time.
Yeah. We have to be our own best friend.
It's also, our own best friend. Absolutely. Which is
And
great.
we're here in your beautiful environment, and it could not be a more peaceful, beautiful environment. So, how important is environment in someone's meditation practice?
Well, I think environment is just important in general. Like, I am a big advocate for nature because nature has the same electromagnetic current that our heart does. And we're so drawn to our computers and televisions that has a different electromagnetic current, and it can disrupt this current that we naturally come from. We come from nature. We're the same creation. So I find environment to be really important. If you're spending too much time in front of the technology, make sure you get a good amount of nature as well. But when you're meditating, I think it's important to spend time by yourself in a very non-distractive way. I try to encourage everybody, like, step one is to develop your own little, I call it a God spot. You can call it a meditation spot, where you have your pillows. I have little singing bowls. I have my Bible or a devotional. I always keep a journal just to download those important things. I have a candle, incense. So creating your little spot, your environment that you enjoy going to every day, really makes it nice.
Absolutely.
So that you're like, I want to go to that spot.
That's beautiful. I love that.
But I'll have to say, we have to talk about resistance.
Yes. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
How do you overcome that?
You just need to allow it. So resistance is just part of the human nature. We resist things. Like, I've been meditating for so long now, but I'd say from the time I wake up every morning, every single morning, this morning, there was some resistance.
Really?
Like, maybe I wanted to linger at the coffee pot just a little bit too long, or, it's just like, it's so funny. And really, you just have to say, like, I think a lot of it is sometimes we don't want to be that intimate with ourselves. Like, it's sometimes, you're going to find that thing that's making you sad, and you don't want to face it. So if we can just always know the resistance is going to be there, we get to the spot, your body, soul, and spirit goes, oh, thank God. I got to the spot. And so you just need to look it in the eye. Like, I see this resistance. People have written books about resistance, that resistance might be our soul's calling. It's what we need to move forward to. It's what we need to look at, what we need to overcome. Don't give in to the resistance. Turn towards it.
Yeah.
Lean in.
Now, one little tip, and I don't know if you have any little tips or tricks, because it seems like everybody has them if they're a meditator. One of my things that have really helped me is I imagine I'm the only person on the planet. And as silly as that sounds, that helps me drop into meditation, because I'm always like, gosh, I was supposed to text that person back. Oh, well, gosh, I should go make sure that's, turned off before I get, there's always something. And so if I just imagine that I'm the only person on the planet and I'm here absolutely by myself, and, really the only connection I can have is with spirit, it helps me. Do you have any little tricks that you do in your mind?
I do think that that's very, very helpful, because it creates this immediate focus on something that's really right here. So you might still be like, oh, I want to go turn that thing off, or I want to do this, but you return back to the breath. And this heart center is the place of stability and peace and love and kindness. So this heart center is where these higher powers are located.
Okay.
So I like to kind of constantly return back here if my mind's going a little too far or my emotions make me feel uncomfortable, and returning back to this heart. And that's the Christ-centered meditation. Biblically, it says Christ will make his home in your heart as you trust in him. So Christ is in your heart. All the virtues begin to grow. We begin to become more patient, more kind, even to ourselves.
More heart-centered.
More heart-centered.
Yay.
Yeah.
Tonyah, if somebody wants to work with you, how do they go about it? I know you have an incredible website with lots of tips and tools, but talk to us about how we can find you.
Probably the easiest way to find me will be going to my website, Tonyah Dee, TonyahDee. I also have quite a few videos and trainings on my YouTube channel, and I have a lot of my music on there as well. So that's Tonyah Dee at YouTube.
Yay.
As well.
And I love that the H at the end of Tonyah, little twist on the words, TonyahDee.com.
Right.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today. I love spending time with you. I think I learned so much too.
Love you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Delphine Circle. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free and it will help us keep these incredible interviews coming your way. Here are 2 other episodes you may enjoy. I'm Delphine. Welcome to my circle.